Hey, Gavin, how you
Hello.
been?
Good, good, good. How are you?
Doing very good, man. How are your sons doing?
They're amazing. I got a star quarterback. I got a star baseball player, and I've got a budding musician who's doing great with his music.
What is your favorite part of being a dad?
My favorite part about being dad, well, there's so many. Like, it's my main job. I used to be primarily a songwriter. Now I'm a dad and a songwriter. And I don't know. I like the responsibility of these beautiful, magical, small people.
Now, the last time I was talking to you, you were either taking your dog for a walk or coming back from a walk. How's the dog doing?
He's struggling a little bit. He hasn't been well the last few weeks, couple of months, and so he's doing good, but he's coming back to full health. But he's been a bit unwell.
I'm very sorry to hear. Hope he's on the mend. But Gavin, I'm going to move on to that new album, The Art of Survival. And I'm not kissing ass here or nothing, but what a great record.
Thank you.
From the very first song, Heavy as the Ocean, it just pulled me right in. That groove and that riff, I actually felt like the weight of the ocean listening to it, because I listened to it really loud the first few times I got through it. And just what an incredible way to start the record. But I got to be real honest, this is my new favorite record. This is going to go in a short stack that I will listen to forever.
Thank you so much. It's the greatest thing you can say to me.
Well, I mean, you guys have been, the Bush name has been around for 31 years. Did you ever expect to make such a strong record this far back in your career?
No, but I think it's like it's a funny time in life, every sort of time in your life, different stages. And for me, when you first make records, when I first made 16 Stone, Razor Blade Suitcase, whatever size of things, there was like no horizon. It just was like you're just young and doing your thing and trying your best and trying to keep up with, your life and everyone else making music and this and that. And I sort of had an instinct always about how things were when things were finished, if things were good. And then all that happens is as you get older and you sort of come to the other side in different parts of your life, you kind of realize, I say, hey, I haven't got that many more records to make, so I better make sure that I really shore up the quality. And instead of saying that's done, take a minute and reflect on it. Is it really done? Is that really the best you can do with that moment, that song, that situation, that instrumentation? And so I just think that it's just part of the kind of maturation process where you suddenly go, you know what? Things are getting real around here. We aren't getting many more bites. Many apples coming this way. So when you bite one, it's got to be amazing. And also you get this. It's funny. David Bowie has the best quote as usual. He said the funny thing about getting older is that you become the person you should have been all along. And so to a sense, I feel that. I feel that creatively in working and when I write words and when I start, a phrase and I go, no, that's crap, get rid of it. Bang, no, use this one. And so I just try to step up the quality as opposed to go the other way and just sort of reel back and kind of just make records that, thank you so much for coming on. Quick, play the old songs, I want the new songs to beat the old songs and want to be in the set, you know what I mean? And justifiably,
Well, I really think you achieved that with The Art of Survival. When I was going through it, I was making notes and I'm circling every single song. And there's a positive thing about every one of them on this record. It is so strong. Now, you seemed like you had a lot to say in this record. Was this an easy album to write?
With so many things going on, life gets more and more complicated. And the world is it's this really weird, kind of twisted dichotomy of where you have these incredible technology advances that are being made. You have people going to the moon, electric cars, AI, all these incredible things. And then you have, on the other hand, you have poverty, racism, mental health issues, suicide rates. So the inequality, people in the poverty line, food poverty, food, all that food insecurity, these things. It's just wild because it's such an incredible time, and you can either fall into with the bad times or you can roll with the good times, and it's just a job for all of us just to keep going. And that's why I think The Art of Survival was possibly definitely on a title level the most kind of universal title I've ever made, because everyone in every walk of life, apart from the kind of the billionaires, like that lot, nothing to do with us, regular people have been really stretched and pushed and pulled, and it's dangerous, but it's an exhilarating time. So it's just trying to bridge all those emotions and different sentiments. That's and I think that's fed into the record, because it's very nothing disingenuous about it. Nothing talks about my acquisitions or my hot date or something. Nothing like that. It's sort of, we got to work on that side of my life. But apart from that, everything's great.
Well, there was a lot of emotion on this record from the very beginning. And after listening to it several times, like you just said, that title really summed up that piece of work with all those songs. Did you find making this record therapeutic at all?
To me, all music is therapeutic, because the joy that I get when I'm still an idiot for it. Like, we're working on some stuff. I think we're having a greatest hits come out later in the year. And so I had to do a new song for that. And then we had to complete it on the road, because it has to be given to the vinyl. It takes 6 months to press or something madness. Everyone's printing vinyl. So I was recording. I wrote the song in my house, in my studio. Then I recorded the drums in Nashville, and I sang it again in Nashville on the last day off 4 days ago. Then yesterday we had a day off, and we were in the room, and Corey, the bass player, is an amazing kind of producer engineer kind of dude. It's really good stuff. And so we set up in his room and just putting the finishing touches to it. And I got to tell you, I'm like a kid in a candy store. It just fills me with so much happiness when you get this alchemy of music. You have an idea. I may say, try this, and then he's a really amazing musician. He's going to try that. And it all worked. And within a couple of hours, we really pulled the track together. And so that excitement is what I'm talking about. That never goes away, of just the magic of just, there's only 7 notes. There's only 7 notes. So the idea that you find all these different worlds and different environments between music and melody and words and rhythm, it's infinite. You know what I mean? I mean, these same notes were used by Mozart. You know what I mean? I got a long way to go.
Well, you sound excited, and that's really nice to hear this far into your career, that you still have that excitement that you went into this with.
Yeah, either I'm really deep or I'm an idiot.
Well, now you and I are close in age, so we come from a school where whole albums, where all the songs matter, I think, to you and I both, as well as the sequence of the songs. Now, how involved are you in the order of the sequence on the album? Because I really believe that makes an album flow.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Oh my God, I'm like annoyingly clear on what I want. And I just, we have a really excellent situation, very collaborative, but certain things just fall. I'm just used to doing that. Like, for instance, you were talking about Heavy as the Ocean. When I was beginning to write, that's the first time I wrote for the record, and when I wrote it, I was like, damn. I remember writing the riff and walking downstairs, and as I walked down the stairs, I just said, Heavy as the Ocean. I was like, that is it. And then I went back and I kind of put it into the song, and I was like, this is leading me. This is not me writing a song. This is a song writing me.
Wow.
And I was like, this has to start the record, because not only does it start the record, but it's the aesthetic, and it sets the tone, and that's why it opens it. And I've never ever written a song and thought this is going to open the record. Never.
Wow.
But that happened with that song, and it was just, again, I'm not like deeply spiritual or something like that, but it was the unit. It just was like, no. And then I thought of the title, just mulling different titles I had. And when I thought of The Art of Survival, I just thought about what everyone had been through, and trying to take myself out of it. Like what's the most universal theme that I'm seeing around? And I just see all these different stories of survival. And this is what happens when you make a commitment artistically. You start looking smart when you do The Art of Survival, and you start the record with Heavy as the Ocean, Steady on the Waves. We crack, but we don't break. We crack, but we don't break. It's nothing like that. I was like, oh my God, it suits the art survival. So it just was the two things that came together. The alchemy of them made me look smarter than I am.
Well, it was very well done, that sequencing, because I was going, there's no way that album could start any other way after listening to it as many times as I have. I
Right.
noticed the Art of Survival is a heavier Bush album as far as guitar tones. Chris's tone is huge. I noticed a couple of tracks from your last album, like the title track, The Kingdom and Bullet Holes. There was a little bit heavier tone. Is this where that heavier path began for Bush?
You know, the funny thing is that on every record I've had detuned songs. So I've done some
Yeah.
standard, regular tuning, more alternative style, and then every now and again just put in these heavy songs and had a laugh with them. And I noticed that when we played festivals and when we were out sort of in amongst an audience that didn't necessarily know us that well, I was always picking the heaviest songs from every record. So we'd go out and just be like, "Oh look, here comes the UFC, cool," you know.
Yeah.
And so then I was thinking, well, I had such a great time with this side project we did, Institute,
Yeah.
2005, all drop C sharp, and I was like, this is what we should do. So we've done it since the Kingdom, actually. The last, because I basically the Black and White Rainbows,
Mm-hmm.
which was a really bruised record. It's some really moments I'm really proud of. Maybe it's not the most coherent record. Whatever. You know, when you bring records out,
Yeah.
People at War still one of my favorite songs. But after that record, I didn't want any too much vulnerability because it was like, you know what? It's not where I'm at. It's, you know, I want to come back fighting. I want to come back strong. And I want to sort of reclaim some territory that I think I've lost. And this is how we do it. Simple
Well,
as that.
it's just such a great sounding record, and it's just the songwriting, everything about it. I mean, I loved every single song. Now, when More Than Machines came out, this was one of those songs where when I heard it the first time, I goes, "We're probably going to play this song forever," and we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's just funny how these things happen. It's one of the last songs written for the record, and it was just around the time when that whole Roe versus Wade fiasco had happened with the Supreme Court, and I was just so shocked, and I was just really shocked walking around. I literally was walking around shocked, like I put my finger in a
Mm-hmm.
socket plug. You know, it's just like, how can that be? How are these old dudes telling young girls about? I was like, what on earth? It's just, I couldn't get my head around it. It felt medieval. And then when they said, we need another song, I was like, oh man, labels are so annoying. But you know what? You didn't address that. You didn't address that topic that is really important, and you have to say something. You have to bring up the dialogue, and that's not to bring up the dialogue either way. It's just to bring the consciousness to it. You know, it's not my job to tell people what to do, but it is my job in some ways to kind of say things into the atmosphere that if people like the music, those thoughts, you know, reverberate in their head. And yeah, so that's it. So I was really, really proud of that because, you know, I sort of believe in really sticking up for girls. I just believe in it.
Now, you guys have dropped another song now. This one's actually on the deluxe version of The Art of Survival, All Things Must Change. Was this a song that was written when you did the first batch of songs, or did this come later?
Just now, just written about 4 weeks ago.
Wow. And
Yeah,
here's the reason I
well,
asked that question is because I felt like that song summed up The Art of Survival in some way.
yeah, it's funny. It sort of works as like an epilogue or something, doesn't it? It's like that was the whole point of it, and it's as if I wrote the record I wrote very naturally, and then I did all this press, spoke about it, and that when you talk about it, you know, makes me think about the songs in a different way, reflects on them in ways I
Yeah.
haven't, or you know what I mean? Because I get to see the real life effect of those songs, and so when I get to, you know, they said, oh, we need another song for the deluxe. Can we do a new one? And I was thinking, well, it does give a chance to kind of sum it up. Really, it's the prequel to the sequel or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's like somehow you're right. It does. And I didn't. Again, it's not like I mean to do that. It's just that that's what happens when you are immersed and you let go and you just give everything you can to the creative process. All these magical things happen in retrospect. Can't sit there and you know, sort of go, okay, I gotta do this song. It's like this sign-off, farewell letter, or this summary, like a cliff notes, like
Yeah.
cliff notes to the art of survival. So again, I'm not that smart, but I'm just lucky that by staying in the zone.
If it was a stroke of luck, wow, man, because it was just like when I was listening to it over and over again, I'm going, gosh, this one sounds like it's a summary, but it's great how you've said it organically happened. I'm going to go back to the last song on the actual standard edition, A Thousand Years. I love how it ended the standard edition of the album. It was just such a great ending with the vocal line at the very end. On the deluxe version that's coming out, Amy Lee of Evanescence is guesting with you on that. How did that come about, and how did you like working with Amy?
Oh my God, she's literally one of my favorite singers of all time. She's just something else. And we've toured with them. We've known them for a long time, and we love their band. And we were playing at the Ryman, a beautiful old venue in Nashville, old church. And so I invited her down and just asked her if she wanted to come on stage and sing a song with me, because why not? And so I sent her 1,000 Years. And she said, like, hey, I'm traveling back to Nashville that day, so I'm definitely going to come to the show, but I don't know about the song. And I thought, fair enough. And I kind of regretted asking her and putting her on the spot. It's not very gallant. And I waited about a week and didn't hear from her again. And I was going to write to her and say, hey, don't worry about the song. Just come and see the show. We'd love to see you. And she sent me the song. I received the song with her vocal on it. And I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I had tears in my eyes. I was like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. I couldn't help it. She just, goosebumps and, I wasn't, but it's a really beautiful moment. And then she agreed. Obviously the management were all over it. I sensed my manager was like, oh my God, listen to this. And they were like, oh my God, quick, sell. I was like, let me ask her. She was super into it. And then we did the song at the Rhymers. And then we just mixed her into the song, and that was it. And it's so beautiful. You've heard it, right? It's so incredible.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's her. It's not, I sort of feel like the kind of driver, and she's the float. I'm driving the float,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
Just like, she's just making it just took me uptown, as I keep saying. She took me uptown.
Well, that's awesome. I know it's wrong to ask an artist what a song means because it's subjective. Everybody can feel something different from a song. So I'm not going to do that. But I do want to ask you about on the song Judas is a Riot. Now, there were two lines that make me grin every time I go through the album. And I don't know why, but the two lines, do the Kool-Aid, twisted shout. Any insight you can give me on that?
Yeah, when you're in a fight with someone or you've been at war with someone, and other people don't know what's really happening and favor your adversary. And it's really frustrating to be in that situation. And I've been in it, and I'm sure many of your listeners have been in it. And you don't get a chance to defend yourself. You just got to sometimes just take the heat. And so that's what that is. When someone else has been saying, talking bad about you at the office, at the workspace, at home, at school, wherever. And so you just accuse other people of drinking the other person's Kool-Aid. As simple as that. Really.
Well, I loved it. And I
We've
said, I love the whole album. I mean, Shark Bite, I can go on and on. I mean, Human Sand, it was so cool. Kiss Me, I'm Dead. I mean, this is a great album. And I hope people really give this album the chance it deserves, because this is one you can listen to over and over again for many, many years, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it's incredible, and this new, the deluxe thing, gives like a little new lease of life, because that song, and it's not leftover songs. They're not like, oh,
No.
not good enough further down. These were these definitely would have made the cut. And if I'd had Amy all the time, I never would have put the version with just me on it. But
Yeah.
now you get both. Now you get to know how brilliant she is and how she affects.
Well, Bush is on the road. You're going to be coming to Grand Rapids at Vandale Arena next Tuesday. Is there any kind of ritual that you or the band have before the show? Just something where you guys come together for a moment and get fired up to get out there on stage?
Yeah, we always have the kind of, I like to give a little team talk. I just give a lot of a talk about where we're at and what we're doing. And sometimes I really get it right, and sometimes they're not the best talks ever. But just try and unite us before we go out on stage, and we all, if you're in the room, we all, what do you call it when you put your fists on top of each other and all
Yeah,
that sort of,
yeah.
all that cool. And you know, it's I'm very lucky because you got to have an entire entourage. That's crew, tour management, and
Yeah.
specifically band that want to do this every night and are
Yeah.
willing to leave it on the line every night. It's a very unusual thing. I was lucky to have it in the first incarnation of Bush, and it's the only reason we got to where we were because people were prepared to work. And I got it the same with this guys. And when I say that, it's been a long time with them. So
Yeah.
it's the times where we all pull together, you know, get the good vibes.
Well, I got one final question for you. And what would you consider a perfect day for Gavin Rossdale?
Oh, that's a perfect day. A perfect day would be, well, I have two lives. Okay,
Yeah.
I have a life. I have my kids half the time, so I have a perfect life with my kids, which is usually getting up early, taking one to baseball when you have to be there like an hour before you play. And so when it's nice weather, it's been terrible. It's been
Mm.
crushing awful, but that's not a good memory. The good memories are when you get up early, you go get a coffee together, you get to something to go play, and I get fired up for the games way more than they do. And and I sit there and I watch that, and then I have my other kid. He's 9. He just blossomed into a ridiculously good quarterback for the flag football team.
Wow.
And so to go take him and watch him, and just doing things that are just, I'm like, oh my god, like really legitimate big throws, great spirals over and over and over. And he wants to be a football player. So it's
Oh,
just
cool.
that's beautiful. And then all of us going together to eat. You know, my oldest son is a fantastic singer and musician, and
Wow.
he keeps writing ridiculously great songs. And so then going to hear his music. I was at dinner last night, and he called me up to show me how he could play duality really well. So I was outside the restaurant in Oklahoma listening to like a kid give me a 15-minute version of duality. But it was brilliant. It was like incredible. So anything to do with them is really good. And then conversely, if I'm not with them, you know, sort of, is there a desert island with my perfect love?
Hmm.
Can I have that? Can I have that?
Well, Gavin, it has been a pleasure. And again, I can't say enough great things about The Art of Survival. It is really one of my favorite albums in the entire catalog. It really is that strong.
Thank you.
Well, we'll see you next Tuesday at Van Andel. You have a good run and much success with the
Yeah.
album, and look forward to seeing the show, man.
Hey, thank you for the kind words. They really mean a lot. They really mean a lot.
And I really mean them too, man. I've texted so many of my music buddies. You got to listen to that new Bush record. I'm telling you, man, front to back.
Wow, it's beautiful. And I agree with you. I do believe that thing that a body of work is where it's at. You know, one song, if I hear a song of someone I like, I'm immediately, oh, what's it all about? It's like you can't have a 5-minute conversation with someone and think that's what their life is about. You sit down and you hear them out, and that's what a record is.
Trust me, I could have went on and on about this record, but I know I only had limited time, and I know you got a lot to do. But thanks for spending some of yours with me. I do appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you guys next week.
Great. All the best.
Oh.